This is Tales from the Mennonite Heritage Archives, where we bring you stories about people, places, and events from Mennonite history. I'm your host, Dan Dick.
Now to our birthday wishes for this morning. First of all, our first letter says, I would like to wish Ronnie Klippenstein a very happy 5th birthday today.
That voice may be familiar to some of our listeners. That was Olly Penner, better known to many as Aunt Olly, the host of the popular radio program Children's Party. Children's Party was broadcast on CFAM out of Altona from 1959 to 1987. Thousands of children across southern Manitoba and beyond tuned into the radio after school to listen to Aunt Olly.
I have clear recollections of listening to the Children's Party. In my home, CFAM radio was on all the time, and the radio was always on top of the fridge. And when it came time for the Children's Party, I'd haul out my blanket and my pillow, and I'd make myself comfortable in front of the fridge and listen to Aunt Olly's Children's Party. And the Children's Party was talking about people's birthdays, mentioning people's birthdays on the radio, and it was also telling stories. And the story that I liked the best was the story of Tall Fireman Paul. Tall Fireman Paul was so tall that he had problems putting on his boots. But in the end, Tall Fireman Paul became the hero of the story.
That was Conrad Stace, archivist at the Mennonite Heritage Archives. Like many people, Conrad was an avid listener of Aunt Olly's and has fond childhood memories of Children's Party. The Mennonite Heritage Archives is also where you can find materials from Olly's radio career.
So this comes from box 6901 here at the archives, and it's a big white box that the family brought in, and it contains some of the vinyl albums that she used, and there's notes on the albums as to what parts of the album to be used and where to cut the story, because they only had so and so much time, right? And there's fan mail, and there's a scrapbook, and there's fascinating materials in here.
Olly Penner was born Olga Wiebe in 1929 in Macaulay, Manitoba, near the Saskatchewan border. The formative years of her childhood were spent in the Gardenton area of southeast Manitoba. Her first career was as a teacher, which is how she met her husband, Vic Penner, another teacher. In 1951, they moved to Altona, where Vic became a newspaper editor from the Altona Echo, and Olly cared for their 2 young boys. When Olly became a radio host in 1959, it was uncommon for married women to work outside the home, but she made it work. Besides Children's Party, she also hosted numerous other programs.
So Aunt Olly had the Children's Party, but her role was larger than this one program. On the radio, she did the Cradle Roll, a program called Ladies First, Hints for the Homemaker, the Social Calendar, the Garden Show, a program called For the Ladies, and also co-anchored the morning program with Jim McSweeney for a period of time. So she did a lot of different things, as well as writing in the newspaper. And she was concerned about her family. And so she had 2 young kids. And so her agreement with the radio station was that she would do this as long as it was on the same schedule as the school schedule, meaning that when school was not on, she could be at home. So her schedule revolved around her family, and she made the other things fit into it.
On Children's Party, Olly told stories and sang funny songs with her companion, a stuffed rabbit named Gus. But the most loved segment was the birthday announcements. Parents would write letters to Olly for their children's birthdays, which she would read on the air.
And then there was sometimes, and for your gift, look for it in, and she'd say, the dryer, or look in it in a certain place in the house. Well, then you had to go and rush and look to find your gift, your birthday gift. So, yeah, there was a lot of parts to the children's story.
We're lucky to be able to share with you some original audio of Olly reading birthday announcements on Children's Party. This recording is courtesy of Golden West.
Now to our birthday wishes for this morning. First of all, our first letter says, I would like to wish Ronnie Klippenstein a very happy 5th birthday today. Ronnie, here's a message for you. Look in the dryer for your present. He enjoys the story of the gingerbread boy. Best wishes to you, Ronnie, with love from your dad and Mom, Danny, Norman, and Sandra. Please wish our twins, Donnie and Connie Neufeld of Tourond, a very happy birthday. Donnie and Connie will be 6 years old tomorrow. They enjoy another winter of freedom and play, but are anxiously anticipating school. Happy birthday wishes to both of you, Donnie and Connie Neufeld, from your Mommy and Daddy, brothers and sisters. And finally, birthday greetings go out to Sandra Harder of Steinbach. Sandra's birthday will be tomorrow. Sandra, a message for you. Look for a present in your room. And these greetings, Sandra, are from Beverly, Alan, Gary, and your Mom and Dad. And now I'm really pleased to have help in singing the birthday song today.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much, boys and girls. I enjoyed singing with you.
The popularity of Children's Party made Olly something of a local celebrity. She received thousands of letters each year from children, parents, and teachers. Here's one read by Conrad.
Some of the letters in here, for example, there's one from a Rocky Coop. Rocky Coop was so delighted about Aunt Olly. He sat glued to the radio. When his name was mentioned, a sheepish smile came over his face and his eyes glowed.
Her fan mail often included photos of her young listeners or drawings they made. Olly compiled some of this fan mail, along with other mementos from her career, into a scrapbook now held at the Mennonite Heritage Archives.
So this is a large scrapbook, black pages, and there's pictures glued in with white writing underneath. And there's pictures that span the whole time with the radio station. The first picture is with her with a microphone, with one of her vinyl records. She's wearing a blazer with the call letters of the station on it called CFAM, and her pet rabbit called Gus. And then there's pictures of children with their names underneath. Lydia Penner from Steinbach, Betty from Gretna, Cheryl Clausen from Charleswood, Wilmer Funk from Lorette. And the list goes on and on. Her listeners went all the way down into South Dakota. A lot of them were her fans. They would send in the pictures along with the fan mail and information about birthdays that were upcoming. But there was also, I think she had a choir. So there's pictures of a choir here in the radio station recording. And then there's some letters that are taped in. And there's artwork from children. And it seems like in this particular case, she had a call out to send in artwork on the theme of being kind to animals. And so there's pictures of children and animals, of rabbits and with horses and birds, feeding the birds, caring for a cat that's got a broken leg, animals on the farm. Wide variety of styles, lots of pencil crayon, some marker, black and white pencils. There's a picture here of a dragon. And often she's added the name of the artist on the top and often their age. So we have some that are age 3, right into the teenage years. There's one age 12. And then the back part of the album is, again, letters from fans, parents writing on behalf of their children, and also children writing in themselves and with their developing vocabulary and penmanship.
Those drawings that children made and sent in to Aunt Olly are especially significant to the archives.
I think it's also quite significant that we have materials created by children. The archives, we keep textual records. And so that privileges those who can read and write. And children, it takes a while before they can read and write. So child-created records in the archives can be hard to find. Yeah, we have school records, but that's directed by a teacher about what they should be writing, what they should be drawing, where this is much more free form. And so this is a unique collection of child-created records that we have in the archives.
Although Olly received a lot of mail, not all of it was from her fans. She had a successful 28-year career in radio broadcasting and was something of a trailblazer in negotiating flexible working hours. But not everyone was pleased with her success.
Talking to some of the family members, they note that not everybody liked that Aunt Olly was on the radio. Some thought that she should be in the kitchen cooking and not have a job outside the home.
However, Olly was undeterred by such criticism, and it was far outweighed by more positive connections. Olly was known, above all, for being kind.
A lot of letters talk about her kindness, and her themes in some of her writing is also about kindness, about being kind to people.
For almost 3 decades, Olly's voice spoke to a generation of children, and not just to Mennonite children in southern Manitoba.
Aunt Olly, I think, had a bigger following than most of us would have realized. She had about 3,500 letters each year to her, and the geographical range that her programs reached was quite large parts of the province and even down to the United States. And I think the people didn't really realize the breadth of influence that she had. The people listening to her, like we are the Mennonite Heritage Archives, and Aunt Olly lived in a predominantly Mennonite community, and Olly went to a Mennonite church, but her listeners was much broader than that. People from all walks of life was listening to Aunt Olly.
Children's Party had a universal appeal. Olly received fan letters from Hutterite colonies, where listening to their radio was often not allowed. Newcomers to Canada sent in letters telling Olly that listening to Children's Party was helping them learn English. Businessmen, blue-collar workers, farmers, seniors, and a Catholic priest wrote in to share how much they enjoyed Children's Party. And it wasn't just Children's Party. People sent letters to Olly about her other shows, too. Olly retired from broadcasting in 1987, leaving an impressive legacy.
In 2002, she received the Commemorative Medal for the Queen's Golden Jubilee. And in a text here written by, I think it's Town Councillor Ted Clausen says, Olly has probably done as much for literacy in southern Manitoba as we have done in the schools. And for this reason, Olly's name was submitted to our Member of Parliament.
Before we wrap up today, Conrad has a special request.
We have a lot of textual records from Aunt Olly, photographs, fan mail, but actually we have very few audio recordings of Aunt Olly and the Children's Party. So I'm wondering if there are people out there who have a recording of Aunt Olly's Children's Party, if they could contact us and find a way of sending it in that we could add it to the collection.
We'll be back next week with a second part to our story about Olly Penner, featuring an interview with her sons, Steve and David. The Mennonite Heritage Archives holds materials from Olly Penner's career, including her scrapbook, which contains photos, letters, and drawings from her fans. To see some of these images, or to listen to this episode again, visit mharchives.ca. If you have questions or comments about this program, email us at info@mharchives.ca.
Hello, I'm Conrad Stace, archivist at the MHA. Thanks for listening to Tales from the Mennonite Heritage Archives. Thanks also to our partners, Canadian Mennonite University, the Centre for Transnational Mennonite Studies, and Mennonite Church Canada. This program is made possible through support from Golden West Radio and listeners like you. If you want to support the program and the work of the archives, you can find out how to do that on our website, mharchives.ca, and click on Support.
This episode was researched and written by Kaylee Dick and Conrad Stace. Thank you to Golden West Radio for providing the audio recording of Children's Party. I'm your host, Dan Dick. Tales from the Mennonite Heritage Archives will be back next week with another story about people, places, and events from Mennonite history.